problem.
I need a motion to declare an open meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, moving second, to declare open meeting, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Number 4, notification of Open Meetings Act posted in the back of the room on the door. Number 5, roll call, myself, yes, Dustin.
Present.
Melissa. Chance.
Yes.
Hayden.
Here.
White. Here. Okay, number 6, approve the agenda. Wait any changes. Just need a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second. Move second to approve the agenda, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Let's start with number 7, the consent agenda, starting with the financials. Excuse me, the minutes. The minutes from the last 2 meetings. We only got 2 this. Well, maybe we got 1.
No, just.
Should just be one meeting.
Just one meeting. You know,
I'll take it down to
Meetings look, if our minutes look okay, we can go on to the financial reports, if there's any questions there.
yeah, one hurry.
he's good.
Is he good?
Yeah, if you
Okay.
want.
So I see this month, we got a CD that's gonna be expiring, reach maturity.
Mhm.
So you just gonna roll that over into flex CDs, that kind of plan?
Yeah, I mean, if, unless you have different designs for anything else, I mean, generally we just let them roll.
What was the difference between the flex and the fixed? I
The-
mean,
the flex
in terms
is
of
just-
interest rate?
Yes, and we have access to it without penalty.
Yeah, was there a significant, interest rate?
There was when we opened that flex. So you can see, normally our interest rates are within, half a point or so, but there's a pretty significant variance. But yeah, flex CD comes with, a different interest rate, usually a lower one.
Yeah.
You get a higher rate for locking it in. You pay a little bit in a smaller interest rate to have access to it. So, yeah, I haven't received information from Midwest Bank on that yet.
Is that the only flex we have? Are all the others fixed?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we can move on to the claims then. Those look all right. Need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Now we'll move on to number 8, the celebration of excellence for tonight.
That's you, buddy. Introduce yourself.
Yep, yeah, it's fine.
I'm Bennett Herger. I'm a junior here at Plainview, and I am a member of the Educators Rising CPSL here at the school. This is me at the State Leadership Conference where I won these 3 awards for the challenge test, which is they ask you, I think it was 30 questions about a specific subject, and that means I got first in the state in that test, second in the state in that one, and third in the state in that one. I don't know, we want to go to the Nationals Leadership Conference in Portland over the summer, where I would be competing with a project that I did over where I shadowed a music teacher. I want to teach music, and I did a project over what I had learned from the experience of shadowing a music teacher, and I'd be competing in that. I got 4th in the state in that event, and then I also competed in this event where I created a bulletin board that students can interact with. So they just hit the colored tubes, the mouths that are hanging from the sides, and they play the music up on there, but I'm not competing in that one. I'm competing in the other one. And then going to all the different Ed Rising conferences, I have learned about teaching and just being involved in different areas in education that I wouldn't have thought about if I hadn't gone to them. Like not only at the State Leadership Conference, but at the other conferences we went to, I attended sessions about special education, and I thought that was really interesting. And then I also attended some about like English education, and I think I attended one that was in math education too. I'm not as interested in teaching those, but like, I'd rather teach music. You can tell by the bulletin board. But I just liked going just to see what it was like, and what the teachers of those subjects had to say. And there was, at the State Leadership Conference, one of the sessions that I feel like I got the most out of was this one world language teacher. I believe she teaches Spanish. Was talking about how you can travel as a teacher and how it can help, help you to give your students different insights into things, and you don't have to be a world language teacher. It can influence your teaching in any area. So I feel like I get a lot out of these conferences, but.
What were these 3 tests on?
This one was about lifespan development, I think. That one was about child development.
Child development was that one.
Okay, and then the third one was the education and training one, which was a course I took last semester, or the dual credit class through Wayne State College.
You said nationals are this summer?
Yeah.
Okay, and since you play so well, you qualify for nationals? Is it?
We don't. I don't know. Do they have these events at nationals?
Yes, you can take those tests at
Okay.
nationals also, but you
Okay.
qualified.
Yeah, I qualified for my presentation that I did when I shadowed the music teacher at Wausau Public Schools, and I just made a presentation about what I've learned from that experience, and I qualified for that one. But I'd be competing in that event.
Cool. Great.
Which fortunately means you does not have to take the bulletin board all the way
On a
forward. It would
plane.
just be the flash drive.
Yeah. Okay. Which I do have that flash drive with me if anybody would like to see that presentation at some point. If anybody has any questions they can ask.
I really wanna see how this works.
Yeah, can you
Okay.
model that?
Yeah.
Are those all different notes?
Yeah. So these are all different songs. I made this bulletin board to help students learn how to read music and also just give them a little bit like information about the song. So there's a mixture of, well, this one just teaches them like which notes are which ones. And then there's a mixture of traditional like folk songs and pop songs. And then all the songs come off the bulletin board and they have information about the songs on the back. And then the students can notes or sometimes a little finicky to work with. But just hit the pause. Just hit the pause for things like that. That was Bunny Bridge falling down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just hit it like that, and then these can be changed for for different grade levels. So you can change the difficulties of them. You can put more information on the backs to challenge students so they can learn more about them. And then for like students that aren't as high of a grade level or that aren't as advanced in music, you can make them a little bit easier. You can have more. This can also be used with the help of a teacher or with a friend. And then on all of the music, there's five different ways of reading the notes. You can look at the colors of the notes, which correspond to the colors of the tubes. the actual music notation of that, and then I also have the note names, which are kind of hard to see, but they're written on the sides of the tubes, and the solfege, which is written on like the fronts of tubes.
That's very innovative.
Yeah, what's the bigger tubes on the sides?
These ones?
Yeah, do those have a top on them that you can hit?
They don't, so how sound works is longer tubes usually make lower notes because the sound can vibrate more within the tube, but because there's not much space, like this, if these tubes were the length they were supposed to be, this tube would be up to there. So this makes it so the sound will go up to the tube and then the air will like vibrate and then it'll come back down. So that way it'll be like having the full length tube, but so these ones don't need tubes. The cap just drops the pitch. So like this note should be the same as that if it didn't have the tube, but since, or the cap, but since it does have the cap, it is a lot lower pitch.
And just scale it down.
Yeah, that way you can fit more things on the board.
You should be very proud of that. You did a very
That's
nice
cool.
job.
Thank you.
So you said there's a description of the song, or what, I guess, what information you provide on the back? Just
So what
like
I-
the origin of the song, I guess, what it is.
Yeah, like for I'm a Little Teapot, or When Bridges Falling Down, like I just played, I put, for folk songs, I put where they're from, so this is an English folk song, and it's an old sentence about it. Like, the oldest story about this song was written about a Viking pulling the London Bridge down in 1014. But, for some of the pop music, that it's not as easily, there's not as much information, like historical information, I would just put like, the name of the song, like, this is Golden from the song, a movie K-pop Demon Hunter, and I put it's a pop song, it's a pop song, and not a folk song. But you could put like what country it's from, you put what language it's in, if you choose songs in different languages. So you can change a lot on this board.
And he also had to submit an instruction sheet that also listed the national standards, state standards, objectives, so that he had to also research all that.
Yeah.
So that way it's all tied in and related to.
Yeah, it aligns with, I think, 5 different state standards and several national music education standards, and then it also aligns with at least 2 different methods of teaching music.
Cool. I don't know anything about music. Do those notes cover, I mean, I know you could do other songs. Does that cover almost every note you'd want to teach younger kids?
For younger kids, yes. Once they start getting to be like 6th grade or higher, you would need to add like different notes. But these are just Velcroed on, so you can take them off and change them. But most songs, you could adjust them so they would fit within these 8 notes. Like this song, these notes were originally supposed to be like not notes that were here, but I adjusted it and made it that way.
Looks good, thanks for
Yeah.
sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job, man.
Thank you.
Great job.
Glad you're getting stuff out of the meetings and the conferences that you're going to. Later. Okay, we'll move on then to number 9, public comment. Is there anyone who'd like to speak tonight? Okay, if not, we'll move on to our discussion items. Starting at number 10, activity co-op committee. Myself, Wyatt, and Caden, we met with Osmond again last Thursday afternoon. Talked more about, their kind of, I guess their stance is they would like us to cooperate all activities with them. We talked about doing it as a timeline originally. I think their board would be all for going together with everything. We've had some reservations, I guess, with numbers we've had in certain sports that does it or doesn't make sense to do that right now. Or, we've got a couple sports like cross country that probably would be no problem. They don't have enough for a team. I don't believe we don't have enough for a team. Volleyball, we run into a few more. We're talking probably 50-some girls, I believe.
In a couple of years, next year, I think we were in the upper 30s is what it would be.
But that number will continue to go up as we
Both schools have a lot of girls. Both schools have a lot of girls.
Mm-hmm.
And,
the most participation we have.
And they definitely have, both sides have very high participation in volleyball. So, we have some reservations on volleyball.
They still wanna go out volleyball though?
They do, they would have a nice group and we would have a nice group by ourselves. But their board would still like to co-op. my opinion, after talking with them, they said it too, they felt like the other two co-ops that they had went through, they felt like they didn't push hard enough to get a commitment, and that's the reason why they're pushing forward here. I can understand that, you know, they wanna have something long-term, and they probably get nervous. So, they'd like to do everything eventually, and I think we're gonna get there, I really do. I look at everything, we've made it through these, in my opinion, right now. We've done bowling, girls wrestling, basketball for next year, and football, and we've done all junior high sports, and that's a lot more than what they had before with Wausau. I think we can take our time and get this right. It might take another year or so, maybe longer, anyway, to get it all right. I don't know what the timeline is, we need to slowly talk about that. But, I guess for now, I'd like to stay with that. We could go ahead and we could do some, if there's a need on either side, that's right, we have a partnership, we need to honor that. And if cross-country is an example anyway, we could go ahead and do that, we don't have a problem with that, or something else.
So we're doing boys basketball and girls, or just
Yes,
boys?
we're going boys and girls basketball, football,
We did bowling this year too.
bowling this year, and we did girls wrestling too.
I guess I just don't see the point of why we wouldn't just do it, we're literally only gonna leave out volleyball, is what I'm hearing.
Just, there's so many
Golf,
girls.
track,
Well, I guess
track.
if they have enough girls for a team, then why are they adamant that it's what's best for their
It's
school?
cause they're scared, well, because.
I don't wanna put word.
Well, they just be that, they just want it done and over with, because they've gone down, well, again, we're assuming, they went down that road before with other schools,
So they did not give you a specific reason?
and then they just,
They talked to that reason anyway, that
They made it sound
they
like-
felt like they didn't push hard enough anyway to
Yeah.
get something done.
so can we get a long-term agreement with them with these, because like you said, this understand, because we could be in the same boat too, where we could really use, you know, their athletes here, because we're real low on numbers.
In some areas, and we already kind of filled that, you know, we have a participation problem in basketball, and we saw a need on both sides. They haven't had boys basketball in 3 years. I think it's right, is what it is. Football, we have a need there, somewhat. We will have a need here in about 3 years, for sure. Right now, we don't, but they do. So again, one side or the other has a need, we can honor that. It's a partnership. You know, I guess I have reservations on volleyball, because it's a lot of girls on both sides. I don't wanna have, I understand iron sharpens iron, I hear that term a lot when it comes to this. Competition and practice makes everybody better. I get that, but I have, a fear of the girls that are still being developed, the girls that are maybe less experienced, less talented. Are they gonna get, you know, not be able to have reps during practice? Are they gonna struggle to see the floor and see team? What's our answer for them? Some girls just wanna be a part of something. I understand that. Top cut, you bet, you know, let them get after it. But the bottom third, you know, where they're less experienced, less talented, that's where I have reservations. That's my own personal opinion, so.
To be fair, and I'm kinda on the same page as Wyatt, but to be fair, if we wanna look at the numbers thing with volleyball, we're gonna be in that same position for quite a while.
I don't think you can wait that long.
Yeah, right, so.
But I do think, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Kate, but I think that with the commitment that we've made, it shows that we have we're willing to make a partnership there, and that I wanna see proof of concept on what we've done already before we get all in on something.
Is there a way that, is there any other girls' sports in the fall besides volleyball?
Cross country.
So like, do you think there'd be more girls that maybe aren't seeing the court or floor, whatever you call it, volleyball, that would maybe wanna lean towards doing that? Cause like, do we currently have a cross-country girls team or not?
You know.
It's just-
And
Is it
what
just
about
a
girls
girls'
golf?
team?
What
No,
is
it's
that?
not.
That's, you bring up a good point.
We're talking about adding some stuff.
Yep, I think you need to look at that. I think that needs to be part of the plan too, is adding in some activities for girls that maybe don't fit volleyball, volleyball, cross-country bowl, you know, girls golf and fall. We used to have it, right?
Yeah, when I was in school.
Competitive cheer and dance was another one that I had suggested to me, that like schools like Battle Creek and Stanton have, you know, that we have a really good West Holt, you know, dance instructor here in town. A lot of girls go through that, maybe that's a possibility for a sport for us. You know, there's other, softball was suggested, I don't know about that might be farther down the road yet. But, I guess, my opinion, I think we've done quite a bit. I'd like to see us just stand pat for just a little bit here and see what happens. But I don't wanna speak for Tim or Katie or anybody else, so.
That's kind of where I was going. I mean, if you just want to go off numbers and you look at the volleyball side of things, you're going to say, well, if we don't think it's worth it now, in 6-8 years, we're probably not going to think it's worth it. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind just seeing it work first. And we can commit and structure it. We've talked about phasing it, like, let's try football and basketball for this year. And hey, if everything goes well, which we don't have any reason to think it won't, then we can talk about doing the rest of it. But we have made a big commitment, and we've been talking to them for less than a year. And we're doing all junior high sports, football, basketball, bowling, girls wrestling. So we're currently not doing volleyball, cross country, boys wrestling, boys and girls track, boys golf. I think that's it.
And we're gonna continue not doing boys wrestling and that.
Well, that would probably fall with the rest of it.
I guess I just thought, I was under the impression when we talked about this back in August that we were going, our end goal was to go all or none type of a thing.
Yeah.
It might be, yeah.
Yep.
I guess that.
It would-
Talks are in, so keep going on.
Yeah, I mean, it'd probably be on the later end of the co-op for wrestling, you know, it might be a 3-year deal. In 2 or 3 years it'd be wrestling, like next year would be, if you could pick, you know, if we did just, like I said, we did 4 or 5 this year. If we do 2 or 3 again next year, maybe the 2 to finish up, the following year, I think. And it could be longer than that if it needs to be, but Osmond just wants they want a commitment, they want a plan. It's the main thing they want. I mean, they'd like to do it all, but if not, they wanna know that we're committed to
Yeah.
doing it and when we're gonna do it. That's the way I think.
Yeah.
I know we've had some issues, you know, if we do not co-op with them, we're gonna have some space issues here because the junior high, there's some kids in junior high volleyball that we've only got one net in the Tartan gym. Whereas if we co-op, those kids could possibly go to Osmond, and we could open up, 2 nets here for varsity and, 3 nets.
Three
nets.
So the varsity would have
Varsity
3 nets
maybe.
here, and the junior high would have to go over there.
Right.
But then they would have two nets.
And Mr. Schmidt he's all for it for going all in, and I want him to, he's made a presentation to us 3, so if there's something you wanna, fill in, or if you guys have questions, please ask. Mr. Schmidt too.
Both sides of all of it, so.
Feels like workload wise that you'd be okay to do it, but it is, I'm sure it is a little bit extra for him to do. I think Mr. Bramer told me that Osmond's gonna have an assistant AD, I think, this year, just to kinda help with, scheduling duties, things like that. So I don't know, I can see both sides of it. I don't like the fact that, like, now is our chance to do it, and do it as Plainview, they're willing to come in as Plainview Pirates. If we drag our feet and don't commit to them, maybe they're not gonna be as willing the next time, it'll be something completely different. I do see some value in that.
I think this is the most commitment they've ever had, though.
It is. Well, they were all in with Randolph, and it ended in 2 years, unfortunately.
That was just basketball.
Or was it just basketball?
That was just basketball.
Oh, I thought it was football too.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Randolph didn't wanna move up.
Just basketball, and we've got all junior high sports, aside from baseball, all of our youth sports are already doing it together. And we're doing multiple high school sports, I get the reservations, and they basically said they wanna do it as fast as they can to make sure that we're kinda locked in, I tried to reiterate that we're committed, we just wanna make sure we're doing it right.
I don't blame them, cause I mean, we're kinda, cherry picking right now, and I can totally see.
Well,
that
we
too.
are cherry
We,
picking based on
and
what their
and
needs
I guess
are.
I feel like we should take them all, and it should all be, all
The,
or none.
the sports we've done has been off their needs. Football and basketball is
I
what
thought we
they
needed them
approached
for
us.
boys basketball or something.
We do.
Yeah, but that was, they don't even have it, so that was kind of what their initial wants were.
So, yeah, if we don't go, just like, so if we don't just do it all at once, I guess, what is our plan then? We're adding some of these, you guys continually have, what, monthly, quarterly meetings?
It hasn't been monthly.
Making
It's
these,
been
I know, but just making these
quarterly.
determinations and
Yeah.
of an end goal, I mean, I can see if they have a reservation, then maybe if we did have an outlined plan, that here's our 2-year plan, or whatever your goal is by this time. You know, if they seen that, that would help to.
Yeah, well, and that's what we said, that we need to discuss it amongst the board.
What do these big schools like, let's use Norfolk Pub for example, they gotta have a lot of girls that go out for volleyball. Do they just play a lot more JV games and C-team games, or what do they do?
They play different levels, so they have a varsity, a JV, and then just a true freshman team, so. And I couldn't answer if they have an actual sophomore team. I know when I was at Lincoln East, they had a varsity, a JV, a sophomore, and a freshman team. So
They have
play all four.
tryouts, do they have tryouts though at that, when you get to those size
Yeah.
numbers then?
Yep.
You gotta look at who we're scheduling for a competition too, you know, we would wanna play a 4th game, for example, in an evening anyway, you can't do that against a D-League or even an Elgin. You know, it just wouldn't happen, not to mention, at the time, anyway, to try and make sure, you know, everybody gets a chance to play.
Well, they would have to schedule something else.
Schedule something else.
Add
You'd have to
additional days.
add
Have like a
additional
tournament
issues.
where they go to like a freshman tournament or something?
Yep, exactly, they'd have to do that.
We used to do that.
Yep. So.
So that's what we're trying to figure out.
We thought it, you know, it just might give us a little bit, if you wait a year and reevaluate, let us see how football goes, how basketball goes.
When are you looking to consider those additional sports or activities?
Additional activities?
You remember looking at.
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're
as far as like all
Yeah.
golf, cheering as a softball, like that, I
What
think.
point does that
I think that
conversation
needs to
start?
be
Choose volleyball.
part of the conversation when you approve volleyball, I mean, for example, anyway, with the post numbers. I think you need to work those in, that's my thought.
It's been a bit of it came to the forefront just because, you know, schedules need to be set here, we are doing volleyball. We're getting pretty late to try and get something put together. It would have to be done for sure in the next month. We did decide to do any more. The other sports can wait, swimming, track, boys golf, that type of thing. Would need to be done right away. My feeling was that they're okay with it, they just wanna know what the plan is.
Well, I think if there was a huge push for volleyball, they would've pushed harder when we talked about basketball. Right? We did those two based on need, anyway, that's what came up. And if they really wouldn't have volleyball that bad, then they wouldn't have brought it up to the forefront, you know, right away when we first had our joint meeting. But, you know, it let it linger. There's no lack of opportunity here for either side. It's just what fits. I guess to me, right now, I'm the one dragging my feet, especially on volleyball. I think you need to wait anyway and just see if we can't work out a better plan, and get some other activities for some girls. Maybe there isn't any interest in those. We haven't even asked that question. Really, we haven't.
Well, I
So-
think that some of that participation will work itself out. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but
Yep.
at some point in your career in high school, it just comes down to the fact that you're either the best and you play, or you're at the bench.
Girls
That's just-
girls wrestling
That's
would
just
be a
the way
good
it
point.
is. I mean,
Agreed.
Agreed. Girls wrestling.
I think everybody should play in junior high, don't get me wrong, but once you cross over to that freshman on up, that's where you start weeding, I mean, the men and the boys type of thing. And I think that if there's a whole bunch of girls out for volleyball, and there's a bunch of them that don't get to play, they're probably gonna not go out for volleyball the next year, or they're gonna wanna look into that other stuff.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
So that-
They're just not, I mean.
I don't want them just walking the halls.
Conversation.
So, yep, I wanna have the opportunity to play something else.
Golf or cross country or.
So girls wrestling did that a little bit, you know, girls found that they had more talent for basketball, or excuse me, for wrestling, picked up the sport, and they weren't playing basketball to begin with, so.
Will they still cover their share of costs for jerseys, travel, things like that?
For the
As-
sports
Yeah,
that
as
we're
we
involved
approve
in?
more
Yes.
sports, yep.
Same agreement?
Same. That wasn't ever a discussion, I guess, in this last meeting, but yeah, I'm sure they will, yeah.
It's kind of standard protocol.
Yeah. So.
So, yeah, I mean, we don't really have a recommendation to make tonight. Something we can probably revisit next month if we want to. Any, additional information or, give people more time to hear about it or talk about it.
When does the decision have to be made?
It would probably have to be made by next.
Well,
April 1st, I thought volleyball was.
What date do we have?
Or June first is fall co-op, but.
But
I
we're
mean,
trying to
they
give
have to
Mr.
drop an
Schmidt-
entire schedule and let teams know,
Yeah.
they no longer have a game.
Mr. Schmidt, we need to give him time if we're gonna do something to schedule stuff too.
For volleyball.
They don't have a cross-country team, is that right? Or a golf team?
They have a cross-country team, but they don't fill a team. Since it's an individual sport, you can take one kid and go run.
Okay.
So, I mean, they take,
Four.
they had 3, 4.
I'm gonna say 4.
Boys, girls, they're both?
They have more boys than girls. We have more girls than boys. I don't think we have.
Do you think that since they can come over, they're gonna have that opportunity now to come over and run cross-country with us, that it might pull girls from their volleyball program and then end up make them have a need for volleyball? You know what I'm trying to say? Cause there ain't nothing that says that this girl that's gonna be a sophomore next year doesn't decide, I'm gonna go run cross-country instead of play volleyball, right?
If you have a full team.
Yeah.
Because you're asking, are they on the bubble with?
Yeah, that's what I'm
volleyball?
wondering, like, is there any girls that are gonna
Might be
sway, that we
possible.
think we're gonna have a whole bunch of girls out for volleyball, but really, now that they're gonna come in for cross-country, is there some of them that are gonna jump ship and go to the cross-country? You know what I mean?
If they knew they had a full team, they could run on.
Yeah.
That one, I think, what you guys saying, man, makes sense that if you wanted just to improve the cross country, you could do that. Just-
No, you could do cross country.
Yeah.
We haven't discussed it.
I don't think
for
we-
months, and we had the meeting Thursday. We thought at the bare minimum we needed to discuss it.
The cross country schedule would be, you could,
So right now, that's still in the action for number 17?
Well, we weren't, well, it could be, but it really, it probably isn't that big a deal if that gets another one.
Okay. So right now, we don't have any action for 17?
No, we put it on there just in case, so there was
Placeholder.
board consensus that we should
I
go
don't know
one
where
way or
to
the
go
other.
the action tonight, are they?
So I guess that's kind of where we stand at. When we get to 17, I guess we can decide what we want to do. There's no particular motion set in stone or anything. Number 11, Budget Committee, Bond Information Committee. Yeah, that's, I think after we did approve, to go ahead with the bond in February meeting, we had some folks from the original facility committee volunteer to be on this information committee for the bond. There's also some new folks that came on. And I guess, Dr. Butler, you wanna kind of give us a summary of, what's been going on there?
Okay,
We, obviously, they wanted the board involved a little bit, and so the budget committee, which is why Justin and I kind of were tied into that first meeting. So we kind of been going, for the second meeting, and Katie and I couldn't make it last week. We can't have, we only have 3. So if anybody wants to jump in on this, it's not necessarily a set committee here, but we just gotta have 3 people there. And so, yeah, you just wanna explain where we're at in that process?
It was, primarily to prepare and finalize the bond information website, which is standard, as well as a hard copy flyer, again, which is standard. A larger trifold mailer will be prepared later. But the information committee is just a group of folks who are interested in, promoting the facts of the bond. It's not a vote yes committee.
Right. Just
But they're,
information.
yeah,
Okay.
just to, yeah, because the school district can expend district funds to provide information. And so there are some expenses, Hausman helps provide some expertise in this area, and so they help provide some of that, so. So kind of just been putting some finishing touches on it, got 15 people that look at it that, think, that make some suggestions for how things look, and, spend a lot of time on the tax impact calculators. That'll be an important piece, obviously, and just specifically with regard to the ag calculator and the LB2 qualifier on that, and just trying to educate folks. As well, people to make a fully informed decision when they go to the polls on the 12th of May. It's kind of rollout time for the information campaign. So for the next 6 to 8 weeks, that group will be strategic in, they're kind of a cross-section of the community, so connected to different organizations and groups, from, coffee groups to churches to different businesses where we can reach, our stakeholders. So yeah, it's, it just a necessary part of the process.
That's kind of what was talked about tonight, was just finding all those small groups to go visit and coordinating people to pass out information or ask questions, or answer questions if they have them. And yeah, Hausman and Tobin from Northland have been part of most of the meetings too, so. Planning on having another meeting?
Yeah,
Next week,
we didn't
again?
set a meeting, new meeting date or time tonight, but, we'll do so, as needed. The flyer will be ready for public distribution tomorrow. Bond website is kind of already out there, but it'll start to be promoted through, social media, and then it'll get shared, I would gather, quite quickly, which is what we want to have happen.
You guys have anything to add?
Meetings went pretty well. We've got a good group of people, and let's get the information out there and let people can make their own.
Right, their own decision.
Own decision. I think it's important for everybody to know we're not chasing votes, just distributing information. We're trying to be as impartial on the information we distribute too. We have a couple instances tonight that Justin pointed out, make sure we aren't trying to persuade.
I think it'll probably be a work in progress, or if there's changes that need to be made, so it's along the way, there'll probably be those changes made, so it's not what you see tomorrow or the next week, it's probably not, there might be a few things that change.
So it is a live site, most certainly the FAQ portion, that'll continually be updated as individuals talk to other people, and FAQ. There's a contact page on there, so if there's questions they get asked in that, if they fit, they'll add those to the FAQ, so if the question gets asked in that comment.
Was there talk about how to, community meetings, the Knox County, Pierce, Antelope County meetings, or what kind of format are those gonna take? I wasn't here last week.
Okay, yeah, so kind of the vision for those is, if folks want either voter information, tax impact information, project information, so we'll have different, set up so they can, like booths potentially. If you're interested in tax impact information, here, go over to this part, whether Tobin will be there, with the tax impact calculators available, for folks, to get registered to vote. We'll have people available to help folks do that if that's necessary. Questions about the project and maybe the design even, because the design of the project is, it will still be somewhat fluid. So just an opportunity for folks to get the information they want.
Be more of an open house type.
Yeah.
Is that what we're kind of thinking?
Yeah, as opposed to come sit and get. But that's the idea, and so those open houses are generally within 2 weeks of the vote. And those dates haven't been set yet, but.
How about, I know there was, some concern of guys being in the field, farmers, getting
Yeah.
really busy. Do we wanna have it earlier than maybe later, what do you think?
Or just multiple opportunities, right? I get it.
Just don't wanna, exclude somebody or
Yeah.
a busy time of the year, just.
Yeah, May 1st would be about as busy a time as there could be in the season there.
But yeah, you wanna keep close enough to the vote too, where you keep people engaged, so. But no dates have been set.
Correct.
on those yet. Okay, so, you guys got any other questions about that? Not, we'll move on to our policy review then, number 12.
61101, okay, 61101 is student progress reports. So how we communicate with families about the progress of kids, which is, not a one-shot thing or even a quarterly thing, I mean, as necessary. So standard language about progress reports, but I would guess that we have teachers communicating with parents on an ongoing basis, as needed with regard to students' performance. Val and Jen, feel free to jump in if necessary on any of these. That's 61101. 61102, student promotion, guidelines for student promotion, retention, or acceleration. Of course, there's a bill working through the unicameral you may or may not be aware of, LD 1050, which the unicameral wants to require school districts to hold students back if they're not reading at grade level by grade 4. Certainly understand the intent. We just don't want Lincoln telling us and families what we have to do with their child with regard to their performance and potential retention. Retention's a pretty serious, pretty significant intervention, if you will, if that's the right word to use. So this policy is getting some hot debate in Lincoln right now with regard to LB 1050. Make sure I get the number right. And these are delicate conversations. They're rare. Ultimately, it's a school district's determination on the placement of a child, but it's rare where we have a disagreement with parent. If we have a parent that says, I want them retained, and we don't believe they should be, or vice versa, it's a delicate conversation, but it's rare where we have a bit of a, what you might call a standoff. Is that fair to say, Jen? This happens obviously at Jen's level. But we have, every year we probably have anywhere from 1 to 4 students that might be retained, and that may have always been the plan. They may be young for their age, but they wanted to start them in preschool, and so they're gonna get maybe 2 years of kindergarten, which is probably the most common, and it might have a little more to do with, yes, their age, if they've had any type of developmental delay. It's usually not necessarily the case with regard to if they have an identifiable disability. So it's not something that blindsides either the parent or school. We get to May and we're like, oh my gosh, this kid's gonna repeat this whole grade. Okay, that never should happen. So any talk about retention is usually happens by Christmas time. Hey, just letting you know, here's where here's where we're at. We may talk at parent-teacher conferences in February about keeping this on the table. Is that all fair to say, Jen?
Yes.
Can this ever go the opposite way, where you have a kid that's gifted and he wants to skip 9th grade or something?
Yes. Now, of course, it would be different courses. Okay, so they usually don't just skip all the 9th grade courses and go to sophomore level courses. But they may be accelerated through, if somebody's gifted in math and they can do calc at age 13. yeah, there can be some acceleration. Now, we do have requirements for credits, that you need to get for graduation, but, do we have a particular, as a freshman, Mr. Schmidt, can they get college credit potentially? I mean, would they be in a? they'd
Not
have-
for a freshman level math.
Not for a freshman level math, but if you were to determine, okay, they're Algebra 2 ready, that would be a pretty rare thing. We'd know that before they get out of the elementary. But we put a kid, they'd potentially be on an IEP as a high ability learner. And so, but it is, yeah, it's rare. It'd be a conversation between us and the parents, and we'd set up a plan. And so, yeah, that happens for sure, but it is rare. 02, so 03, student honors and awards, just helps to provide some guidelines, particularly at the high school level. Academic letters, scholarships, citizenship awards, okay. And honors night's coming up, so that's on Mr. Schmidt's radar. Grading guidelines. You know, every now and then this gets brought up as a topic of conversation. Pretty rare, we just kind of follow generally a standard protocol. And graduation requirements. This, we just made a change last summer, I believe, oh no, summer before last. So, the unicameral may make a change, and we've got to change graduation requirements. I think, what was the latest one, Mr. Schmidt? Financial literacy?
Financial literacy and computer literacy.
And computer literacy, so now we gotta change our requirements. So we might, our electives could change, but the credit hours, we have to have a minimum number of credit hours as per Rule 10. So this one, to a great degree, is standardized based on Department of Education rules and the unicameral. Okay, we don't have, I don't think, any recommendations for adjustments, edits, or language change.
Okay, we'll just note that they're been reviewed then.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, we'll move on to action items. Number 13, discuss and take possible action approving a bid to resurface the track of Pro Track and Tennis in the amount of $80,500.
So these are the folks that did, took care of replaced the track surface 5 years ago, now this summer. Recommend a structural spray every 5 to 7, so this would be the first year in that range. The structural spray is essentially just another top coating, right? So it looks brand new, but it's just a top coating over the existing asphalt, track, not asphalt, polyurethane, yes, of course. So the reason I'm bringing it to you already to consider, as I mentioned in your notes, we've had a couple of cracks that we've been taking care of since the first year that it was done. That's not extraordinary that would happen right away. A track is only as good as its foundation. We don't have the best foundation. So we've been taking care of a couple of cracks, also some that are on the long jump runway. And they're fine, but once you have cracks, we get water down to the foundation, and there's where you're gonna really start to have a quicker deterioration. So just asking you to consider it in this first year that they recommend a structural spray, just so we can preserve and protect the asphalt foundation that the polyurethane track sits on.
I think we saw that when we looked at it one time. We don't have the best foundation underneath. We went that direction because it was gonna be so expensive to do the whole foundation. And so when we did that, we knew that we'd have to do these structural sprays on it to keep it in shape.
So it kind of started out that way.
Let's see here. What we said was we knew exactly what Dr. Earl said, we knew it wasn't the best base anyway, but we thought we would be just fine as long as we previously, it wasn't treated, right? We had
Well,
some- we had
it
some-
had been, we just,
Was it?
I don't know, I don't know the history of it for sure, whether it was every 7 years or whatever,
I
but
don't
our
know, 2
truck,
years.
it had really deteriorated bad
We had it
when we replaced it 5 years ago.
Revolving door of athletic directors and, some different changes.
Yeah.
And we just, Mr.
And it was
Schmidt
coming loose at the
came on,
foundation,
it-
the polyurethane surface was just, it was moving.
Yeah. We had
And
sections of track you could pick up.
chunks of track that were coming loose. So
It was pretty bad.
we can go how many, can we do like 3 structural sprays, Mr. Schmidt, maybe before they recommend, okay, we gotta go down to base again. So I mean, we're probably 15 years to 20 years we'll get out of this track before we have to do what we did 5 years ago. But
When
we've
you say
got,
that, you mean not removing the base, just going down
not removing
to
the
it?
base, just removing the polyurethane like we did. If you ever remove the base, you're probably gonna put in a concrete base, a full concrete base, which will be hundreds and hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of dollars. So, so $80,000 to $100,000 every 5 years for the next 15 to 20 is probably your wisest, best course of action if you wanna keep a good track.
They have to use
Restripe
lines and
it.
everything.
Yep, so they would cut out those cracks and put in new base mat where those are now. So they would fill in the base as best as they could, and then they would put new mat in there, so they would splice it, you would be able to see that. And then they would spray over top of it, and then yes, new lines and everything, stripe it, all that.
In this bid here, they'll do that.
Yeah.
You said taking care of cracks, I guess, who's doing that and how are we doing that?
So right now Gail's filling them, so every spring we go out there and walk the track and
So
see
since
where
year one, Gail's been repairing
The
those
first year
cracks?
they did, they kinda showed him, hey, here's what we use.
Yep.
And here's what we do, it's not rocket, they didn't cut anything out, they're like, okay, we just kind of fill in and then and it provides that adhesion. And it's a temporary fix, cause that crack likely could possibly, just open back up year after year, so.
Is this the same company that's doing this?
5 years ago, yeah.
So they have a 5-year warranty, it says they warranty their materials and labor for a period of 5 years from the date of completion of work. So, I mean, did they not have a warranty when they put the track in?
Well, there's not a warranty to certain deterioration. I mean, it didn't dissolve away. There's gonna be some,
Normal wear and
So
tear.
so even
And
this,
this-
even this warranty doesn't cover if it starts cracking after year 1 or 2? That's what I'm wondering, like, what's this warranty cover? If the same thing happens again, are they gonna come and keep fixing it, or is Gail gonna have to be responsible for fixing it?
And this track is not up to any motorized vehicle on it, correct?
I don't know.
No.
And that there's never any golf carts, four-wheelers, nothing like that on the track?
no, that's not true. We don't want, folks to go and race around on the track. That's kind of always been the case. So it's not open to the general public, to do anything other than, walk the track essentially.
So, yeah, I guess again, I'm just trying to figure out what their product is. I mean, is this a better warranty now than we had before, or just, I guess, where we looking at one? Because if we're spending $80,000 every 5 years, and you said 20 years, that's $1.5 million. I mean, it's, at some point, if we put a concrete base in, is that gonna, in 20 years, is that a cheaper proposal over 20 years? I guess I'm just trying to, long-term, that we have to keep approving this 80, it would be probably more than 5 years. I guess that's what I'm wondering, like, what's it look like if we look at a concrete base? Maybe this is our solution?
You still have to put that sealer on.
Yeah, do you have to do it every 5
You probably
years
wouldn't do
with a
it every
sealer?
5 years, but I
If
think
you have a
it's
better
still-
base?
So they encourage it, whenever they resurface a track, they encourage it to be done every 5 to 7 years, no matter what the base is.
Okay, so I did, okay.
So the base is what's causing the cracking right now, because we have an asphalt base and everybody has gone, when you put in a new track now, is to a post-tension concrete. So that way it moves whenever you have the weather changes, whatever it is, so it prevents the cracking. But they still require you to structural spray it, because that seals the edges and prevents the elements from going underneath the track. So that's just a maintenance cost on their end. When you redo the whole thing, we spent about, I think, to do the whole mass and everything. If you're looking at doing a post-tension track, the last 2 or 3 that I've seen are over 1.2 million just for the concrete.
Over what?
1.2 million, just to do the concrete. So,
Which
and
doesn't
we
get
don't
rid of
know-
the ceiling part, you're still having
Correct.
to do that. Okay.
And we don't know what's under the asphalt, so you're probably looking at more because everybody I've talked to in post ADs was we sunk a machine down there when they brought in the asphalt the first time they did it, so.
It's just not a very good spot.
Correct. It's a low spot and the water all runs and drains
Yeah.
over top of our track because we can't put drains on the inside because water can't move underground.
Hopefully the new drainage maybe helps
Yeah.
out with this,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it'll push the water off and out and around, but, I mean, that'll be what that space is for its future. I mean, water will always be pushed across it, not drained on the inside and then ran out.
So we've sealed this year, if we seal it, whatever, that gives us another 5 years. Can we just perpetually keep doing that, or how many ceilings do you get before you have to go back to the whole tear it up and start over again?
They say 20 to 25 years when you have to do a new mat.
Okay.
That's when it typically runs.
And that was that $180,000
3 to 5.
project.
Yeah.
And this is only year 5 on.
This is be the first one, yes.
This will be the first time we've sealed it, okay.
Yes.
So you're looking at.
Not a huge deal, but when they stripe it, we'll change it so we can run both directions and have one finish line to go with our timing system.
That's just a painting change, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that's not.
I mean, you're gonna paint it anyway, so.
It's in the bid, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're looking at roughly $20,000 a year to seal it, I mean, $20,000 a year we just have for just track maintenance, just for this portion of it, roughly.
If you wanna divide it out.
If you divide it out, and then that doesn't even figure it out after 20 years that you gotta redo the whole thing, so obviously that number would be a little higher. So you say that, and you know, it's not 1.2 million over 20 years, but still is.
You could start planning for that in depreciation.
That's what I was wondering, that's a good point.
So
That we
if you
start
wanted
setting
to,
that aside.
if you wanted to put 200,000 a year in depreciation, then you know, when this, you get to the point where you've got the money, you just save up for it.
So that's what we talk about, like our long-term goals, you know, having a plan.
Yeah, maybe this needs to go
That we
around.
know next 5 years we're gonna have to do this again. And we know in roughly 20-some years, we're gonna have to resurface it, or maybe even get farther. So I'd hate to have the board that in 15, 20 years that nothing was brought, you know, taken care of now, and then they look at that large expense.
But the way I understand it, no matter what we decide to do, you'll still have this
Yes,
Structural.
yep.
re-spray
5,
every
6
5,
years.
7
Yep.
years, yeah.
Yep.
How many track meets a year do we have?
So we have 5 here this year, one
Count-
triangular
counting
and 4
junior
invites.
high?
Yep.
Well, that's what I think, being part of our longer-term plan, especially on the budget committee.
And that's- and this
That we
is-
start setting that money aside.
And do we, the thing is, we don't know if down there, you know, the water table, if, okay, a post-tension concrete track, you know, will that work in that marshy ground down there? I mean, I don't know, I seem to recall a conversation from Mr. Frederick years ago, that, you know, that it was just, we don't wanna put too much money in it, we just wanna maintain it. And rather than invest 1 point whatever million, not that he suggested they looked into this at that time, because I don't think they were talking about it like that 20 years ago, but that, I guess that would be to get an engineer, well, of course, we just had one down here, say what, you know.
Probably take some forcing.
Yes, before we start, putting maybe 200,000 in depreciation to prepare for that, is that really even doable?
Sorry, I had my math wrong, it's $400,000 for sealing over 20 years.
Yeah.
That's 1.2 is what you said.
1.2
That's why we decided not to do the
Mhm.
track,
Yeah.
5 years ago, just because it was gonna be a huge expense. We could do it for this, and we kind of planned on it, you know, just making that investment every 5 or 6 years.
So you said put money into, I guess how's that work? Because I know we can't just put money into an account and let it sit there, right? So
Yeah.
how do you long-term,
Okay, that's
have
just
money
part
kind of built
that's part of
up
your
for-
part of your general fund levy, and then you know, at sometime during the fiscal year, maybe at the end, once you have your tax receipts, you just move money from general fund to depreciation fund,
And that can sit,
and it can just sit there.
be earmarked, I guess, by the board.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid from Pro Track and Tennis to provide a structural spray for the track in the amount of $80,500.
I'll second that. Been moved and seconded then to, approve the bid from Protrac and Tennis to provide a structural spray for the track in the amount of $80,500. Vote, myself, yes. Wade?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yeah.
Justin?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried, 6-0. Number 14, discuss take possible action in the purchase and installation of new goalposts, not to exceed $14,900.
Well, we obviously need to move goalpost, the one on the east side. When we moved it 15 or so years ago, and cut off the base of it. And I don't know for sure that they did, that something was done to it, that it can't be moved again. But we know Mr. Schmidt would like a goalpost at our practice field. So, one of the existing could go to the practice field, and we could, go ahead at this time and just replace the goalposts at the football field with single pole traditional set of goalposts.
It's cracked, isn't it?
Yeah, when they cut them off underground, and then when they put them in new, they put bars up and then they set the goalpost down on top of it, but it was too large and so it split to one pole. I mean, could it work? Maybe. I mean, I don't know once we take it apart what that'll look like, so. But that's what happened when they moved it the first time. And these would come with sleeves that we put underground, and so then they just slide in and you're able to move them because they're put into sleeves that are permanently placed underground in concrete.
So then you can just add another set of sleeves if we go back to.
So then we just have to put one more sleeve where we would move the one goalpost up, and then that could be, I mean, we would just leave the old sleeve, so if you go back, you put it back in that sleeve, so.
The sleeves help with rust or anything like that, or it's not necessarily for that, it's just for ease of moving them in.
Correct, cause I mean, you're going to, they seal them on top and then you put dirt over top of it, and then so.
Then you just have to figure out where it's at again.
Yeah, so it's the same as the pins on a field, you mark it, I mean, you just have an underground metal detector and figure out where it's at.
Practice field, where do you wanna put that thing?
Probably on the north is where I would like to, but it depends on, I mean, we would have to place it out of the way of T-ball field if they ever wanted to do that, and making sure that that's out of the way. If we do it on the south, we're gonna kick on the street.
Yeah,
So
we're.
Probably tough to guess if there's a main cost in moving it, right? Is it just a matter of just digging a post hole and concreting it in?
Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah.
right?
So, I mean, it's Yale and IL.
We could make a sleeve if we need to, right?
Yeah.
Or the practice field.
Yeah. I think he was here when we moved, yeah, Yale was here
Does it
last
have
time.
concrete up in?
In it now?
Yeah, the old
Yeah.
one.
It's got to.
Yeah.
So
You have to have concrete underground, otherwise it wouldn't hold up.
Should be done. Heat it up.
Supposed to fall through it, at it, so it knocks it off.
Yeah, we struggle with that. Cohen's good at it. The rest of the crew.
Not the best ever. Right?
He is.
then you don't need some.
I'll make
Just
a-
don't hit it with the ball.
I'll make the motion to approve a bid from Stadium Sports to replace our current football field goal post in the amount of $14,900.
I'll second.
Move to second to approve the bid from Stadium Sports to replace football field goal posts in the amount of $14,900. Self, yes. Justin?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yeah.
Chance?
Yeah.
Keaton?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried 6-0. Number 15, discuss and take possible action approving 26-27 academic calendar as presented.
Okay, corresponding dates essentially, and, you know, main thing is I need 185 teacher contract days, so I start at state track and count back. Take into consideration Christmas, that's usually about the only one that maybe shifts a couple of days from first semester to second semester, or determines the start, when we start school, which we always would sure love to avoid starting school the first week of August. So this calendar has same number of professional development days, same number of, maybe one less student day. We're usually 178 or 179 scheduled student days. Well over the required number of hours, but all school calendars always have well over the number of required student hours, which is 1,080 for the high school, 1,032 for the elementary.
I like it.
I say this every year, I feel like if we don't use snow days, we should let them out a week too early.
That's what I was gonna bring up. I like to have a discussion on doing a Labor Day to Memorial Weekend calendar sometime, or just see if that's even possible. And again, I mean, I guess, how many snow days?
To get 185 days, Labor Day to Memorial Day would be, there would be no breaks. They'd have 5-day weeks from Labor Day to Memorial Day. So your teachers, I don't know if I can speak for teachers, but I can about predict that they wouldn't like it. Most folks, my experience over 35 years, they're ready to be done, they're ready to get started. They like to be done in May, but once you get to August, your elementary teachers are already in the building irritating the custodians who are still trying to get it ready for them. So they're usually ready to get going, ready to be done. They love 2 full weeks Christmas break, but that usually determines where is Christmas, and Christmas and New Year's. Where are Christmas and New Year's? And do we bring them back on a Friday, or do we just wait until the next Monday? And so those are, usually, things that you look at and consider. Yeah, when you don't have snow days like this year, you're right, it's tempting, and gosh, last year I think we had, just a couple, we had several late starts, but, there was a couple years back, we had 6 or 7 or 8, and we were saying, shoot, was this pushing us up against needing to add some days? So it's reasonable, I think, to say, if we have no snow days, can we kick them loose? Nobody would probably argue. I assure you, other than maybe, your folks who pay the salaries of the teachers, who have
I just don't think
185-day
anybody's
contract.
about that.
Maybe they won't, but right now, we're trying to be wise with the taxpayer dollar. We have a $15,000 a day payroll. So if we just say, you guys, nobody has to come in. No service provided, but $15,000 in expenses. I'm just sharing that as a fact with you, so.
Where are we sitting at right now with snow days?
Okay, we usually have a number of hours, with the number of hours extra, anywhere from 10 to 17 days.
And they could potentially be done.
10 to 17 days. Now that's the number of hours, 1,080 is the minimum. There's your minimum. There's your minimum. We should always strive to do better than minimum. And our kids are at different levels. Of course, we can't say this group we've got kids that need reading instruction. When we're not here, we have kids that are at risk that need reading instruction. We run a good, robust summer school that we've been doing since COVID, and I will always advocate for that, because we do help prevent that summer slide from kids who are just kind of getting it, and now we go away for summer. And we give them, 16 days, 16 mornings of intensive, small group, one-on-one with that teacher. So that's a wise investment, I believe, of our money. But so when we don't have school, we have kids that don't eat, we have kids that don't get reading instruction, we have kids that are at home in a dysfunctional environment or with nobody at home. School is a good, safe place for a lot of our student population. So I'm just saying those are considerations. Those are things that I think about before I say we don't need to have school, even though it's generally an overwhelmingly popular move. Those are things that I think about. So the only thing that's a minimum on here is the minimum number of teacher contract days, but it's not a minimum number of student contact hours. It's well beyond what we need for student contact hours, and that's exactly what a lot of our kids need. They need more than the minimum amount of time with our teachers.
If we have an athletic team that qualifies for state, say volleyball or basketball or something like that, and we let school out, we let the kids travel down to Lincoln, where does that day take off? Does that take off on the snow day typically, or is that? No?
Yes, it's just, yeah. So when we use the term snow day, it's just essentially a non-student contact day. So we don't get to count student hours, but we always count a contract day. We usually don't say, okay, teachers, you're gonna have to make this up on one of our scheduled breaks at Easter or something. That's pretty standard at schools when you do that. Sometimes they might say, it's happened. Okay, teachers, you either go to the game at state or you come in and you do have a work day. School districts have the discretion to make that decision, but I think routinely they're like, okay, especially if you get to state basketball and you haven't had any snow days. If you've had many, that could be a whole different local decision.
But if you have used your bank, anyway, you got teams
Yep.
now.
Yep.
And that's what that comes out of.
Sure.
typically. Okay.
And Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, unless everybody is doing a Labor Day to Memorial Day schedule, there'll be games that we miss, cause you guys schedule your homecomings, your games, all of that so far in advance. To make that switch from a Labor Day to Memorial Days, that would be hard, correct?
And the state sets the schedule, like football wise is what controls our fall time. So, I mean, if we did that, we would have kids coming in to start a fall sport August 10th, whether we go to school or not during that time. Cause we'll already have competition starting, 8 days before Labor Day. So, whether we're in school or not, so the Activities Association kind of drives some of that too.
NSA calendar, it's something that we consider, we overlay. So schools generally like to start school at or about the time that the NSA calendar begins for fall sports, because kids are coming in anyway. We might as well keep them captured, and so yeah, there are those those considerations as well.
If you would start, I don't agree with the Labor Day deal, but I would be, I'm just asking, if you started the 1st of August and you got out the 1st of May, the only thing that's gonna conflict with is state track, right? You're gonna have kids that have to come back for school to go to state track, or
Yeah.
have to practice for state track.
Track and golf. Golf is after state track even, but so that's a different animal, but
It doesn't matter, I never.
There's still a lot of fairs going on.
Yeah, actually, I think you have more value on them coming to school later in the fall than getting them out early.
See, I've always felt like get them out early in May, that way they get done.
Can we just not start
Ready to
school
be
on a
done.
Thursday? Can we just start school on a
You know what,
Monday?
just hang the whole thing.
start school on Monday.
Yeah.
Teachers hate it.
It's your
Well,
own.
you can do
Families
early,
hate it.
you can do early dismissal on Monday and Tuesday.
We have. They love a Thursday, Friday, or maybe a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So if it works out that way, like it did, like this calendar, it didn't work out. It was either this year or the year before. We started on a Monday. That's a long week, especially for your younger learners. Kindergartners, first graders that are beginning all day, every day school. So it's a bit of a grind to get back into that routine. Can be done, has been done. It just, the way we counted back from track, from state track, it's one of those, this is one of those calendars where it works, that generally your teachers appreciate, okay, we come back and we do a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of professional development. We go through our required bloodborne pathogens meetings and all those other things, and we get ready, and we bring kids in and we do a 2-day with early dismissal. We get and again, calculus is different than kindergarten. But, you know, they kind of get the things set up, protocols, go through this, that, and the other things, stuff passed out and so on, and then you hit it on the next Monday. But so, you know, it can be done, but
It's not advisable.
well, I guess just in my practice, you know, building calendars and getting feedback year after year from teachers, administrators, parents and kids, it's all over the map to some degree. But this just generally works the best for the most.
I think it's been that way since we went to school, 30-something years ago. We always went on a Thursday. About the
Irritating
same-
it.
About the same, yeah, about the same. We always start football that week before. It's been working this way for a long time. You can change it around here and there.
We can make the same argument about a building too.
I agree with Chance what he's saying. I'm looking at, you guys are the experts in this. Kids are allowed a certain time. I understand you don't want to do bare minimum, but geez, it just seems like we're just taking control of these kids from their parents or whatever they want to, what they're doing, just to be there to be there.
Yeah.
At some point. These kids are at school so much more time than they need to be, or
Yeah.
required to be,
Yeah.
required to be.
And I would say we have very, very few students out of 355 that attend all day, every day. And we have very, very very few teachers, 34, that don't use a personal day. They all have a week paid vacation during the school year, so they have time. Our kids that are involved in activities, now granted, they're at a school activity, but they're off on this, that, and the other thing, so they're missing instruction. And then I would just, it'd be a guess, I didn't ask Mr. Schmidt to get the data, how many students, what's our attendance rate? So, what do they miss for? A variety of different things that they miss for. So chronic absenteeism is a real thing that the Department of Ed has asked us to monitor and be aware of, exacerbated by COVID, and years since has been improving generally across the board. So when we say we have 17 extra days scheduled, it's practically none of our kids are attending an extra 17 days more than they need to, because they miss anywhere from 2 to 30 days for a variety of reasons.
So again, we have a minimum requirement of days that the children need to be in school, hours they need to be here. So is that, when we look at, absenteeism from the children, are they good to miss, if they're required, let's just say 30, and they're here for 50, can they just miss 20 days and that'd be okay?
20 days is the limit, and that's where we're required to.
Well, that's actually a number,
There is a number, so the required number of hours, but now they go by days when they talk about chronic absenteeism.
Okay.
And they determine that to be, they being the unicameral and the Department of Ed.
And that doesn't matter how many snow days you have in the schedule, or how many days of the year the child is scheduled.
If there's an emergency closure, that doesn't count. It's, you're in session, student not there, and, and it might mean, okay, if you missed half a day or 0.5 or 3 class periods, whatever, that's just cumulative. And
That's still one though.
no, it's not one if they
that's-
miss 0.5 or 3 class periods, so.
Have we had any snow days?
No.
Have we?
No, we had two closures that were scheduled days, and those were two wrestling meets. We hosted, a GNAC conference on a Thursday and determined, you know what, we just can't hold school while we're hosting a wrestling meet. And then the same thing with Friday at District Girls Wrestling. So those are two tournaments we hosted this year that we won't be hosting next year, and maybe not, you know, for years to come. So when we built the calendar last year, we didn't, well, we knew we'd be hosting GNAC, but we just hadn't made a determination at that time when it would start and how that would work. So we thought we'd have an early dismissal. Since we didn't have any snow days up to that point, we thought we can just let them, you know, have that be a no school day, rather than bring them here till noon, get them out, now we wrestle.
Chance, you're
I'm
on
not
me.
trying to go crazy here and like let them out like the first of May. I'm looking at this, like, if this was this year, say this said May 2026, and the last day was supposed to be the 19th. I feel like if we don't have any snow days from now until May, we let them go on the 13th or the 14th, and the teachers can either come back one day the next week, or they can let the kids go the 13th, make the teachers come the 14th, and then give them other 3 days off, 4 days off. It's not that big of a deal. I don't feel like, but I feel like it would like make a lot of people happy. Like, it's not that big of a deal, like district, a few days off or whatever for the teachers.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in the same camp as you are.
A lot of times those days aren't real productive. and you
Exactly.
said that before.
Let's see where we're at next month, and then obviously in May, and then that is a school board decision, obviously. If you wanna say, at the May board meeting, you know what? Good job, everybody, we're feeling the grind, and now, we of course wanna tell you that every day, every moment is productive here at Plainview Public Schools, that you all went to school, and so you understand the reality of what school's like in May. But yes, let's entertain that conversation in April and May.
Someone else got to make the motion on this one, otherwise my kids won't let.
I make the motion to accept the 2026-2027 school calendar as presented.
I'll second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the 26-27 school calendar as presented. Chance?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yeah.
Justin?
Yes.
Self, yes, Ralph?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Motion carried. Or ask you, Chance? Let me see.
Yeah, no, you asked me.
I did, okay, motion carried 6-0. All right, number 16, discuss and take possible action setting a certified full-time employment of 33.75 for 26.7.
This is no change from this year, so we would like to employ the same number of certified staff next year. So I would like to offer the teachers contract renewal notices due back a week from today. The 15th of March is the earliest that we can ask for their commitment. It's your commitment to them as well. So once they sign it, they're locked in. You can't change it. So it's your commitment to them and their commitment to you. And then you can make a determination after that time on whether you would like to let somebody out of that agreement. So I always make sure I let our teachers know, we do want you to commit to us. The board's made a commitment to you. We would like you to commit it to the school district. If life happens on April 10th and an opportunity presents itself, and for you and your family, you're gonna ask to be released from that, that's a board decision. And generally, my experience has been that the board releases them and we find a suitable replacement, you know, and we're fine. But I would like to issue those renewal notices to our staff tomorrow, due back a week from today.
I'll make a motion to approve 33.75 FTE, certified teacher FTE for 2026 and 2027.
I'll second that.
Do you have something you?
I was just gonna ask, what's the .75?
Mrs. Clemens is .75 staff member.
Oh, that's, okay.
Yeah. That's working out okay. Next year will be the third year
Okay.
of that. If she ever said, hey, can I come back full-time, I bet we'd be happy to have her full-time and fill her schedule. But she's doing a great job of meeting our needs at
Yep. I forgot about
.75
that.
time. Yep.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve a 33.75 FTE certified teacher FTE for 26-27. White?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carried 6-0. Move us to 17, that was our, discussion with Osmond. I don't know, I guess I'd kind of suggest we maybe meet with Osmond maybe one more time. If there's anything, you know, maybe put something, or see if there's anything to put on for next month. I think, we can't do anything today. I have to talk just a little bit more about it, but how soon is that, what do you guys think?
So I'd encourage your committee to get a plan, or have an outcome plan outlined for the next school
I
year.
think that's what we'd have to do, probably.
You know, obviously, it's gonna be fluid, but I think that would give them some reassurances. So as you mentioned, you know, volleyball maybe isn't, if they can see that there's this commitment, this plan, and these are our discussion points, just something in writing, I think that'll reassure them, plus it just reassure everybody else, parents included, on, is my child gonna be co-oping, you know, playing sports with Osmond or not, or, you know, I guess on both sides, so. I guess that's what I'd encourage your committee to do. Let's get that kind of written down. Unless you've already done it.
No, we
No,
don't.
that's kind of what
Solid
we discussed,
we'd
but
have to probably.
We need a plan, before we go committing to things.
We probably come up with a plan, and next month we can maybe share that plan with you guys.
Yep.
What we recommend, that's all right.
So no action on 17 at this time?
So, let's go to number 18, activity director's report.
Shout out to the boys wrestlers, finished third at state duels, tournament champions at the individual tournament. And both girls and boys basketball teams were in the sub-district final. Tracks started as well as golf. I didn't have golf on there because they hadn't had their meeting yet, but I think they have 9 boys out or 7 boys out as of right now. High school track's got 50 out, junior high is gonna have 64. Shot and discus is set up, shots getting finished up. Told you we have a triangular and 4 invites we're hosting. We're also going to, with the purchase of a timing machine last year, we're gonna go to 3 different track meets and run those for people, so there'll be some money coming back for that as well. Speeches at conference today, districts is next week, states the week after that. And we host Conference Quiz Bowl next Wednesday, so I don't know anything about that, but we're gonna go do that. It's in Neeling, so not hosting it here, so.
For the shot and disc, did I see we're doing it on the east side of the road down there?
Until
Just
we
the
get
business.
grass. That's
Right, just for
temporary.
this year
Yes.
temporarily, we're
Yes.
setting up over there.
Yep.
Is it muddy?
Is it muddy?
Or is it gonna get,
It will.
yeah.
But this is,
Yeah, I know it's probably dry right
Yeah.
now, but it looks like it might, like the shot put might disappear.
Those are soggy spaces, the shot put eventually will have the agri-lime, it'll have wet foundation and agri-lime, so it can handle that moisture in that spot. Yeah, a heavy rain will flood that discus area, we know that, so if we've got bad timing on a good rain, so be it, we won't have disc, but we'll be happy to have the rain. It'll be just tough, just one of those deals. We're not hosting districts, so we won't have to worry about, you know, that would be vital. Everything else, it could be flexible with it.
Okay, principals report, 19.
Okay, just a couple things. I emailed all of you last week or a week and a half ago about our external visit. So every 5 years, we have those outside educators come in and evaluate our school. Next Thursday and Friday are those dates, and those are important, interviews that happen with students, staff members, parents, community members, and you guys. So that is Thursday at 5:30, and we'll meet in this space. So just a friendly reminder about that. Okay, so I was listening to you guys talk about calendar dates. If that is something that you guys are thinking about this year yet, I would love for you to kind of talk about that again next month, only because I have half a dozen things in May, the 14th through the 20th, before we go home, elementary related. So those things can easily be rescheduled, but I need to move all those things up if that's something you're interested in.
Is that doable?
Sure. It's, kindergarten, graduation is one of the important dates. We just moved today for preschool. So, yes, it's manageable, but the sooner you can make that decision, the better. Several months ago, Justin, you asked us about a HAL program. Mrs. Yolk and I went and looked at one and have some data that we would like to present to you guys all next month. So just know that that's something that we have followed through with and wanna kinda showcase to you guys. And we plan to make that happen in April. So those are just the additional things that I have beyond what was already up there.
Okay. Number 20, superintendent report.
Okay, in your folder, you would have found a 2-page front-back document from NASB about, updates with regard to the unicameral and what's going on. Just a couple of them to bring to your attention real quick. LB 653 reversed a law last year that took away a school district's right to determine consequences for kindergartners, first graders, and second graders with regard to consequences for certain behaviors. They prohibited school districts from suspending them. They changed it now to give local control over, if you need to make a determination about that at local control, that's good. So we're happy about, 653. 940 is coming from the MAHA movement, prohibits certain color additives in school foods. 1243 changes some school board policies related to part-time enrollment. So there's, right now, kids have to be enrolled for 5 credit hours. Homeschool kids participate in school activities. They want to wipe that down to 0 and just let students participate in NSA activities without being enrolled at all in any type of public education course. LB 960 would require school boards to have a student representative on the school board. While nobody would argue that, hey, maybe that's not a bad idea, they want that to be a local decision. Again, we don't want Lincoln telling us we must have a student, non-voting student, member of the school board. I mentioned 1050, that is students that aren't reading at grade level by grade 4 will be retained into grade 3. 1219 is a big one with regard to funding our schools. It places a hard cap on schools' growth, and so this is getting a lot of our attention and would essentially wouldn't keep up with inflation and would put school districts in a tough circumstance within a couple of years, as they would expenses would continue to grow at a certain rate, and they wouldn't be able to grow their revenue stream. So that would be a tough one. So we're still watching a lot of those. There's a handful of others. Some may have your attention. So we'll know a whole lot more next month about where things are. I got bids for your pirate gym. To paint your pirate gym, to add acoustic or sound absorbing panels and bleachers. Because the keener I look at your bleachers, we're well past the lifespan of those bleachers, so we're coming up on needing to replace those. So, but that's $150,000 to $200,000 investment in the pirate gym, coming at some point in time. Okay, to paint particularly the ceiling, to add sound absorbing acoustic panels, which they maybe could have, should have done 50 years ago. And then your bleachers, the wear and tear on your bleachers, they're just getting to that point, to be honest with you. So I have those bids. That doesn't need to be a summer project by any means. Just giving you a heads up that is maybe a next budget cycle discussion.
Yeah, backrest on the bleachers.
Backrest on the bleachers. They're provided new bleachers. So any gym you go to, they've been putting those plastic bleachers in for about 30 years, right? They make those with backrests. It's just nobody invests in them because it costs.
I thought we saw them in Omaha one time.
So
A lot of
yeah,
people
they
say
just
don't
fold
give up
right
on
back
that.
in, So yeah, that'll be a tough decision for the school board that makes that decision if you're ever gonna replace those existing bleachers in there with the crappy plastic ones that are in every gym now and not have backrest, but anyway.
Do you have the breakout of, I mean, just
So
cost
the
of
painting
bleachers
twenty,
versus
painting
acoustics?
about minimum 25,000. Okay, and that would be just for, oh, that would be the whole gym. That would be the whole gym. Now, just the ceiling would be
Right.
about 18.
Yeah.
Okay, cause that'd be a whole lot more. The acoustic panels were over 40. Now, it would depend on how much, do you wanna cover your ceiling in acoustic panels and some of the walls? So you'd have some, okay, just do every other truss.
I suppose there's some math calculation to that though, right?
Yes.
That they know what you need.
Yes, yeah, they come in and say, measurements,
So many
these,
square
this
feet, I
size,
guess.
and these things are I don't know why they're so expensive, they just, at any rate, and your bleachers are, $130,000, I believe, Stanton paid, 2 years ago for their new bleachers.
So that's without backrest.
No backrest.
I thought we were talking about doing some of this with the bond, if it's that.
Pirate gym, restoration?
Yeah.
No.
No, it
The
would
sound
be.
acoustic thing and all that.
Yeah.
The
bond
Tartan
doesn't-
Jim was talking about.
Yeah, we pulled the restoration out of the Tartan gym. So, need to share.
Is it possible, let's say the bond does pass, is it possible that
Yes.
we can find room in there if we have some savings to do that? If
Yes.
that's what we decide is the right.
If the bond for the gym were to pass and you're gonna put bleachers in there and you said, hey, if you do both gyms, and maybe I'm not hearing you correctly, I'm
Well, I'm
sorry.
not even if the gym passes necessarily,
Yeah.
just if we find room, cause that's the maximum spend.
Yeah.
If they find savings in there, would it be something where you could?
That would be your
I
decision.
think you'd have a hard sell on
But-
that because we broke the bond out, so it's one's academic, the other one's more athletic.
Okay.
Yeah.
But again, it's just discussion. I believe you could, I mean.
Yes, that would be your decision, but that would be a tough
Right.
conversation probably to have with your public,
Sure.
that they voted yes for something and now you're spending money on something else.
Sure, okay.
There's your Barry Sachs you approved last month. It sounds as good as she looks there. I did take some video, but I just thought I'd give you a still. She wanted to say thank you, very much for that. We had 2 vehicles go down. The white van that had to be sunset, thankfully, timing was very good. Now, we were gonna use that. We were gonna pull the seats out of it and use it for maintenance or whatever, as long as it's still but transmission went out $6,000 to $6,500 to repair. I said, Bob, get rid of it. It doesn't do us any good. And a 2014 bus with 139,000 miles on it, needs an engine rebuild, 25,000. I said, forget it. We're gonna be talking in our budget committee about maybe potentially a new bus purchase, a 14-passenger short gas-fueled bus, like our activity bus, or something. So I did not say to Bob, yeah, we'll probably fix either of those.
That was a route bus?
It was. And we've been using a Suburban or a van for one of our routes for a couple of months now. So we just can get by with one of our routes running with.
Did we get our new bus, the one?
Yes, the white
It's-
activity bus. Yeah, is a hit, I think.
Drives like a dream.
You would know.
Drives like a dream.
It still costs way more than it should,
Yeah.
but it's,
Seals up nice, kids appreciate that, cause on all the yellow buses, none of those windows seal.
yeah.
So it's just whatever the temperature is outside, add about 10 degrees and that's what it is inside. That thing was warm.
Yeah, that's a good
Drove
purchase.
well.
And finally, we had replaced 2 paras this month. We have 2 paras that are given, birth, maybe very soon. So we hope. So we had several, more than just a couple of good candidates to choose from. So, Mrs. Hodson, had recommended and offered to Jennifer Hitz and a Kel Getchman. 2 gals that bring us good experience working with kids, and let's see, Kayla has started.
She is, yeah. Jennifer will
and
be here at the end of the month.
Jennifer at the end of the month, so, and we anticipate retaining them into next school year. And so next month on your agenda, we'll be setting classified salaries, so we'll talk a little more about, fair compensation, for those roles. And then your enrollment summary and my meetings out of district and vacation and sick balance are listed for you.
Okay, President's report, just one thing I wanted to mention, we've been talking about, maybe having a goal workshop. I was hoping to maybe, incorporate that into the 19th, it sounds like Dr. Earl's gone that day. So probably, if we want him here to help us with that, we're gonna need to find maybe a different day, but we probably should get.
We're talking more like a budget roadmap though, right? That's
Well, I think
so-
budget needs to
you know,
meet first.
That's
and then-
part of it,
Yeah.
and kind of work in it, maybe some board goals though.
Right.
Right,
Right, yeah,
so.
the budget would probably be committee first, and
Yeah.
then present it at the workshop.
Right.
Kind of the-
We're talking, just spitballing, guys, what were we thinking, 7 years, 10 years?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that,
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
it'll be a living document, other boards can add to it.
But it just kind of shows it, just
You
kind
know,
of shows,
just-
just like even that track would be on there, okay, this is what's happening.
This is what needs to happen, you know.
I think
X
most of that's
amount
probably
years.
all made up, or you've got a pretty good copy of that already.
Yeah, with regard to
Yeah.
facilities, for sure.
Right.
I think your goals though, and that, I think those are two separate, I mean, they are,
They are.
kind of go together.
They
so
are.
I think the sooner we can do the goal thing, the better.
Okay.
Even if Dr. Earl, maybe if he can't make it, at least we can get a start at it. We can have another discussion after that.
Good, yeah. I don't know if, yeah, I mean, if you wanna meet, before that meeting, come up here on Thursday, is that too early?
It's up to everyone else, yeah. Maybe done with budget or done with goals?
Goal meeting, you want?
Goals
is
is that,
just a-
that would be, is that committee? That'd be a committee meeting, right? It wouldn't be a, or is the whole board?
I think the whole
I
board.
think we talked about it in the whole.
So that'd be a
board.
would that be a closed session then? So you'd have to have an actual board meeting, wouldn't you?
Right.
Yeah. It'd be
Yeah,
a
that's true,
workshop.
yeah, it'd be a
Yeah,
workshop.
oh, I got you.
It'd be open to the public.
Well, I'm open to whenever, so I guess I'll leave it up to everyone else to decide.
And it,
what works.
public would basically just be invited to observe, maybe the no public comment or
Understand.
Q&A session or anything like that. With all of us here, it has to be open.
Yep.
And you were saying the 19th of March, was that the?
External visit day.
That's external visit day. So what day was it? I can't be here?
I thought you said you weren't available on the 19th.
Of March?
Or is that something else?
Correct, I'll be at NERCSA in
Yeah.
Kearney.
I mean, we could still just get together as a board
Yeah, there we go. I'm fine with
and
that.
spitball ideas, you know, for a little bit. Then we could go and bring that back into another time if you wanna do that. So that would be on Thursday,
An hour before the.
probably better give it an hour, I suppose, and not take that long.
4:30.
You guys be okay with that? Just get a start on it?
Yeah, that's fine. Probably.
Right with you, Chance and Melissa?
An hour before, so on the 19th, we'll come at 4:30 instead of 5:30?
Yeah.
You'll just have to meet somewhere else, because we'll be in here with other committees interviewing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, classroom.
My office or, classroom, we can arrange that.
Probably better be a classroom, honestly.
Oh, if it's an open, yeah,
meeting, it's gotta be open.
I don't have a whole lot of space in there, so probably right across the hall.
What are you expecting the other meeting to last, Jen, like an hour or?
That's what they have penciled in, yes. I don't anticipate it to take that long, but we also have supper for you, so.
Okay. All right, let's plan on that then. That's all I got. Got a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a
motion to adjourn.
Second, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Let's go, we're adjourned.
Better tonight then, Barbara, since we're still here.
Yeah.
It's usually February, typically.
Keep waiting for you.